This show is sponsored by Mighty Capital, the go-to venture capital firm for product-first companies like Airbnb and Amplitude. Learn why they are dubbed the best value for the dollar invested at mighty.capital. I'm SC Moadi, founder and chair of Products That Count, a 501c3 nonprofit engaging over 500,000 product managers. Our mission is simple: help you build great products through groundbreaking research, prestigious awards, and top-notch programming like this award-winning Top 1% podcast. Whether you're aiming to boost your career or turn your product team into a competitive advantage, this is your gateway. Visit productsthatcount.org and begin your product leadership journey. This particular series is hosted by one of the first chief product officers in the world, Renee Niemi, and each episode is a masterclass in product leadership. Renee, over to you.
Hello. Today I have with me Petra Romano. She is a Chief Product Officer of CONA Services. First of all, Petra, I just want to start by saying congratulations on being selected as one of the best CPOs in the world. And thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Renee. I appreciate it. It's a really humbling experience. I was nominated by one of our partners. And when he told me that he nominated me for the Chief Product Officer award, I said, "Well, Paul, how many others did you nominate?" And he said, just you. But that surprised me so much. Out of CONA Services, I'm one of 4 Chief Product Officers. And I know he works with a lot of other customers. So I was really humbled by him suggesting me for this award.
Well, I am super excited to get to know you a little bit better. I guarantee you were nominated for a good reason, and I'm excited to learn more. So why don't we just get this all kicked off, and why don't we start by you introducing yourself, a little bit about your story, CONA Services, and the products that you deliver for CONA Services.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm the Chief Product Officer of Enabling Functions, and what we mean with that in CONA Services is finance, controlling, procurement, and human resources. As mentioned, we have 4 Chief Product Officers, so we split in the different pillars, and I manage sort of the back office functions. So that's the platform solutions that I'm responsible for the largest Coca-Cola bottlers of North America. So those are our customers, our partners. Those are the ones that we service. They have full ownership of our company, and it's great to work with them.
Oh, wow. It's really fascinating for me. I can't wait to learn a little bit more about what it's like behind the scenes of one of, honestly, the most iconic brands in the world, Coca-Cola. Awesome. Great to hear that as a background and a backdrop. Why don't we just dive in? And the first thing I'd love to talk about, obviously, you've been a Chief Product Officer, so you've been through all of this dramatic change. I mean, we went from the pandemic, and then we went right into some uncertain economic times, and now we're facing what looks to be an AI revolution. And with that, the Chief Product Officer has kind of had a front row seat, and in some cases, driving the bus on all of this change. What have you noticed about the role and kind of the evolution of the role of Chief Product Officer?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So if we dig in on the AI specifically for a moment, I think with our structure, we were readily set up for that. We have, in each of the 4 product pillars, we have put innovation directors in place when we changed really to that product management structure 4 years ago. We changed not only to a full DevOps structure, meaning that we really had that full end-to-end product ownership from requirements all the way to support. Strategy is a key component of it, but we also put that innovation director in place. And I think that really set us up to really partake of those innovations now with AI. The innovation director that I have, particularly in my team, he's working on what he calls the Martha app right now. And it's a really cool conversational AI solution that is intended that if you think about a Coca-Cola sales representative driving to an outlet, he could ask Martha, right? Hey, Martha, what's expecting me there, right? What's the sales volume? What were the customer issues here? What's the latest order? Has it arrived already? Are there equipment service tickets out there that I need to focus on? So that we believe is just going to be so much more efficient rather than they could do that while they're driving, and it's really all about having that information accessible very quickly rather than navigating on the devices and looking for the information. I think the expectation to product management these days is that you have information ready all the time, at your fingertips, really.
Right. So when I hear this story, what really strikes me is the way that you've structured your team, with the fact that you have dedicated resource to an innovation role.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what it sounds like is because you structure your team in that way, that you were ready for what could never have really been predicted.
Yeah, I think it was really a great move that we did there, because over the last couple of years we focused, particularly in my space, a lot of on automation, right, robotics, and now we're really digging into all the various types of AI, and it's not only he supports the customer team for that specific project, but it's the use cases are highly applicable across all the areas, right? And so we wanted really to learn around that conversational AI piece and how can we best set up and leverage this, but accessing it to our data, the botless data, at any moment. The other piece, I think, from the product ownership that I have around HR, right, is really that employee experience, right? And so there's a lot that comes out also in the platform solutions that we have, right? But to be in front of that and really deliver that in the way that it brings value to our bottlers, that's what we're focusing on in that space particularly.
Yeah. So obviously, there's so many different directions that you could take this. How it's specifically, I would love to know how you prioritize and you think about what direction you take in this kind of time of high scrutiny and high opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So it's a very unique concept that we have, right? Because if you think about this, the bottlers are their own legal entities, right? So they all have slightly different ways how they think about going to market and about the HR strategies, and yet they do the same business, really, right? So we have a lot of power in that community of the bottlers that we service. And so each of my product directors across the various functions that I'm responsible for has the responsibility not only of that end-to-end support, but also coming up with what we call a product roadmap. So that's really the strategy, right, around what are things that we have to do on a maintenance side, what are things that we really want to dive into that puts us to that next strategic level. And we have at least a year ahead, right? But ideally up to 3 years, what we think should be on the roadmap. And we work with our bottlers on that prioritization, right? What is it that matters to them? So that's not always an easy task, right? Since there's several of them, to align them, because their priorities could be in different ways. But again, there's also such an opportunity from them learning from each other and implementing these solutions together, right? So we typically also work when we get ready to put out a product. We work with a pilot group of bottlers that does a lot of the testing and head work, so to say, right, that the others then can benefit from. So that's really how we go about this, and it works really well for us.
Excellent. Fascinating to learn about this. So, our time is probably our most precious commodity that we have as leaders, and how we choose to spend our time matters. Giving everything that, like both the external factors as well as obviously the day to day expectations of your role. How do you think about this next year and how you're going to strategically look at your time?
Mm-hmm. It's a great question. That is always the $1 million question, right? And we have to really get used to that. We cannot manage it all, right? So prioritization is really a key skill set that I also try to help my team with. I would say naturally a lot of the priorities are defined by the work, right? So it's also important not to overcomplicate it, right? So we have, as a company and with the bottlers together, so the roadmaps that I described on a lower level, we have that also with our board of directors, right? We clearly define what are the strategic initiatives for the year. And those are clearly our priorities. So we had just a major platform renewal that really required everybody to be hands on deck. So it was clear that this is our priority. At the same time, you have operations and production running, right? So if there's any incident or anything that happens, things break, right? That's clearly also always a priority, that we make sure the business keeps running. So that naturally then, trumps everything else, and we work to get the business back up. Luckily, we don't have many of these situations that we really have a full outage. We've been very stable over the solutions in the last couple of years, despite really big major initiatives that renewed many of our platform solutions. And what I noticed over the last couple of months and maybe already over the last year is that the platform solutions are stable, they're great, right? But again, those individual needs might not be always addressed with everything. So what we then focus on now over this next year is really how do we address, now that the platform is there, it's stable, right? How do we address those individual needs? And then again, requires innovative approaches, right? And working with really making sure that we understand what the need is and that we come up with solutions on that work well with the platform solution in the back. So we call that, some call that extensibility, but I think that becomes a higher and higher priority to make sure that we deliver on top of the platform.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. What about, how do you, when you think about time, how do you split the just, to your point, keep it really simple, worrying about, let's say, the 3+ year like implications of your role versus the 3 years in? Like, how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think with technology these days, it's as you can see with AI, we would have never thought that it moves as quickly as it does. So I think again, having the basics right allows you to, then focus on anything that comes your way. So I think that's always a key priority, to make sure that you have a stable business operation that you can support with the products. And it's a challenge, right? Because it's demanding with the customers, right, to deliver to the day-to-day needs, but also take enough time to really do research and stay on top of what's strategic right now, what's possible to come. In all honesty, I think We should take more time to do that strategy work around what's really the trend in the different business functions that we support. Our bottlers expect that, but at the same time, they also expect that we deliver on the requests that are already out there. So that continues to be a day-to-day challenge. But I think it is important to stay relevant, and I encourage my team every couple of check-ins. Hey, how are we doing there? Have you considered to go to this conference? How's your research? So really to also block their calendars to take that time and stay on top of all these trends.
Yeah, super smart. That makes a lot of sense. What about you? How do you learn and grow on a personal level?
I think somebody said to me once, it's always best to not be the smartest in the room, or more the opposite, right? So I think I have the great honor to work with very smart people. So I just by working alongside with my team and my peers, I learn continuously every day. I love my career because it's a constant learning, right? Just by doing the job, I learn daily about the different business challenges, but also what the different technology trends are. So it's just a natural thing that that you have to stay on top of.
Yeah, yeah. And I know dedicating time to do that is so important. So when you look at your background, your history, all the products you've ever worked on through your career, what particular delivery or product stands out in your mind as most memorable and most defining for your career?
Mm-hmm. It's a great question. I would say it's really that first product, right? And that's probably, I would imagine, similar to a lot of people that you ask that question, right? That are in product roles. So I got this role in a little bit over 4 years ago, and I'm by background an engineer, so I have very little functional experience in finance controlling, procurement, and human resources. So I was very humbled to have been given the opportunity. And I knew my strength is in the team that do understand the functional pieces, right? And so I knew I can only be successful here with just supporting them, really, right? And removing any obstacles that they might face. And just as I joined in that role, we were delivering a multi-million-dollar HR initiative, really replacing the core platform solution, moving that into the cloud, and really getting the 8 bottlers that we support in HR on a single instance. And then as I joined, I learned that SAP is working with us on a co-innovation there, because not all the areas of the product were multi-tenant capable. So what that means, again, as I explained earlier, right, we have the bottlers we support are separate legal entities, so multi-tenancy is key to us. Data segregation, that's really critical. So I was like, wow, we're working on a co-innovation. We're going live with something that nobody has ever done before. And the team said, yes, that's what we're doing. I'm like, okay, good. So I had a lot of respect in front of the task, right? And I knew we have to diligently communicate on the statuses and work through any issues. And then I will never forget this, just the day before we had the go, no-go decision for our first group of bottlers to go live. Mind you, this was on top of it, the pandemic hit, so we had to switch to full remote work. An organization reached out, and a supporting organization reached out and said, we're not ready. We feel like we cannot go live. So alarm button was pushed. And I knew this is my moment now. I stayed calm, and we always matched up with board sponsors. So somebody in the board that supports you with the delivery of initiatives. So I called him and I said, okay, this is what's going on. Here's what I think we should be doing. We should ask for, because I have to take that concern seriously, we should ask for a conditional go approval. We laid out all the facts where we are exactly and knew we can combat the issues that were still open at the moment until the moment of go live. We still had 2 weeks in between, but we needed to start the cutover preparation activities. And so we reported out daily then on the open issues, and we got that conditional go approval. And I will never forget how we then went live successfully when the first payroll happened and nobody had any issues. It's really that delivery moment that I knew I had also chosen the right career.
Yeah.
Because you know that your team has put that out there. It was a beautiful moment.
Wow, that's amazing. And the world didn't collapse.
The world didn't collapse.
Would you consider that to be your most successful launch or just the most memorable?
It probably is also, I mean, it's hard to compare them, right? They're all important. We have been lucky to have a lot of successful launches. We've also had things that were not working, right? And I feel like if I would recommend to anybody, as hard as it is in the moment, those are usually the teachable moments that you learn the most from, right? And I've learned, quite a bit from those moments and apply them today.
Yeah, and what would you say the biggest learning was?
I'm somebody, if I'm given a task, right, and you ask me to deliver that product, I'll give my hardest, right? And sometimes I would say you have to see the signs early, right? And it's also important to pivot quickly when you see that this is not going where it needs to go, and you can't get the support, and the business is not there with you. That's the moment then to, as hard as it is, take a step back and say, okay, I think we really need to change strategy here, and this is how we're gonna do that. So I've always done that, but I think over the learnings that I had, I'd go to that moment quicker now. I've seen that it's not worth the time and energy spent if
Yeah,
you know that you can't get there.
it's interesting because as I listen to you tell the story, it really sounds like you made a very informed decision to politely, I might add, override one of your partners, right? And you did that for business impact and for all your commitments and whatnot. And that's a pretty defining leadership moment where you can still successfully deliver and simply just say, no, that's not the path we're going.
Yeah.
We'll manage the
You're
risk.
exactly right. It's really that understanding, and the security, when can you be successful and when are the odds against you, and then accepting that and pivoting from there.
And it's not always clear, right? There's calculated risk that you take, and it sounds like it paid off. And
Yeah.
that's where I like to call it intuition, but I really believe that's where this mix of art and science collide. It's called intuition, right? A little bit of experience and a lot of gut feel.
Yeah, it's a fine balance because you also want to protect investments that have been made, right? And you want to make sure that you deliver what was originally asked from you. But yeah, sometimes that could come at a higher price than changing approach and doing something else.
Yeah, I love that. So, bridging this conversation, what would you say is your CPO superpower or secret sauce? Like what obviously not everybody gets to the role that you're in at the moment, and really would love to uncover some secrets.
It's hands down my team. they're just so knowledgeable. And so again, we talked about this earlier. My secret sauce is just to support them what they do best, right? And that is manage great products that we've put out there. So it's really recognizing, okay, even when they might not say, hey, I'm in trouble here, or because they take great pride in what they do as well, but it's just being there and supporting what the team does. And I would say the other big component is supporting with the stakeholder management, having really close relationship with the business. I think as an organization, we've learned that it's important to be directly connected with the business partners, not just the IT function and the bottlers, but really with the business partners. So we have formed what we call business advisory committees. So it's really executives in the different functions that we support that develop with us that strategic roadmap that I've mentioned earlier. And so really taking, again, that time, right, to be close. What is their priorities? How can we best support them? That is really, I would say, what makes anybody in a product role successful.
Yeah, well, so first of all, a couple of thoughts on your superpowers. Anytime someone says my team is my superpower, your superpower is hiring and motivating them, because great people want to work for great leaders. So kudos to you on that. And on the whole, managing the stakeholders in your situation, would you consider your stakeholders your customers?
Yes, absolutely, right. And that's again the uniqueness of who we are as an organization, right? Our customers, our partners, our owners. So yeah, absolutely, you're spot on there.
Yeah, so it sounds like, that customer centric mindset, partnering with your customer is your second superpower. Fascinating to look at, this role through different lenses, and certainly yours is quite unique given the structure. So, what motivates you? Like when are you at your best? When are you doing your best work?
It's those unique moments when you feel like you're in a flow, everything goes exactly as planned, or you hit challenges because nothing ever really goes exactly as planned.
Never.
But then I really try to see those as opportunities to shine as well, for my team, to really prove that we are that strategic partner that not only supports the technology, but really that makes that business value that they need to execute on happen.
Yeah.
And to then see that come to fruition, I mean, every go live is a motivating moment, right? When you've worked hard on building the product, and then it does what it needs to do, and it's smooth, right? And the business partners are happy, but also, or the end customers or the employees, whoever we're servicing with the product, that's defining moments. I give you an example where we delivered an onboarding app, because again the core product wasn't as user friendly as our bottlers were needing it to be for the candidates that they were hiring, right? And the frontline workers, it's a high turnover environment, so they're hiring a lot of people. So onboarding is a key function, right, that needs to be quick and smoothless. People need to have access to the things that they need when they get started, right? And we wanted that to be as low touch as possible from the bot-led HR teams, and really be as much as possible self-service to the new hires of the bottlers. And we worked several years on an approach and finally said, okay, we got to go custom here. We got to build this on our own, on top of the platform, right? Leveraging that backbone. And we worked very closely with two of the bottlers, and we delivered that app finally. And then one of our HR chief people officers sent us, candidate feedback. And one of the folks that joined one of our bottlers had, reported that he said to his wife that evening, wow, this was so easy and this was so great to do. This company, that bottler really has their act together. I'm so excited to be starting to work for them. So that's what motivates us, right? Like, is that kind of feedback after you worked very hard to deliver precisely that candidate experience. That was really great to hear, and I'm very grateful that they shared that feedback with us.
That is such a great story, and getting that feedback is so rewarding. At the end of the day, we do what we do for impact, right? And to know that you made a difference is amazing. So congratulations on that. Unbelievable. Our time has gone so fast together. So unfortunately, I have to transition to our very last question. And of course, it's going to be about AI and the role of product management. Obviously, you told us your story about incorporating AI very quickly, especially the Chat GPT interface. I would love to understand your thoughts on the role of AI, just either tactically, strategically, on how it's going to impact the role of product management, both in the short term and the long term.
I think it's going to be really on two levels, right? The first level is it has to be part of the products that we put out there, right? It's going to become a consumer customer expectation, so to say. So really to be fast in that delivery of that capability, I think is going to be key for the chief product officer role. The other piece is leveraging technology, AI technology, in the function that we do itself, right? I had to write a leadership assignment recently, right? And it was, I copied the assignment task into the Copilot, right? And it provided me the structure of, of course I had to adjust it to my own thoughts, but just alone the formatting help and, putting the structure out there was just so quick, right? And this is just one example. So leveraging with the work that we do, whether it's deep learning, whether it's, the day-to-day custom interactions that we have, I think is the other key expectation, that we are on the forefront of leveraging the technology that we're also putting out in our products.
Do you think that AI will replace the role of product management anytime soon?
A great question. I mean, if that happens, it probably replaces all of our roles, right? I don't think so.
I think that's a no.
I don't think so, and I tell you why. Because great products in the end are great products not because of the technology or the quality that they have. It's about the people that make the great products or that make the great products work, right? So if I've learned anything in the years that I'm in this role, is you could have the best product, you could still fail in delivering it, right? So it really is about the people around the product that make it work. So I'm not worried about AI replacing our roles just yet.
I love it. I think that's the perfect note to end on. Petra, I just want to thank you so much. It's been so much fun getting to know you a little bit better. And again, congrats on being a finalist.
Thank you, Renee. I appreciate it. And thank you for the great conversation.
This is SC Moadi again, founder and chair of Products That Count. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you like what you heard, be sure to leave us a review on your favorite platform, including Spotify and Apple. And please check out our other resources at productsthatcount.org. They're designed to accelerate your product career and make product the most important function in business. Until soon.